My name is Mayada Abu Jaber. I'm the founder and CEO of the World of Letters. It's a social enterprise that was founded in 2006 in Jordan. It works nationally. It also works in the Middle East and North African countries. Our main mission is to foster dignity, pride, and equity for youth, children, and women in the Arab region. We achieve that by bridging the education, economic, and gender gap. We support universal human rights and efforts for social, economic, and environmental justice. We work on at least 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals directly, and indirectly we touch on almost 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Most importantly, we work on quality education because we believe that every child should receive quality education, be it in the public sector or the private sector. We specifically focus in early childhood education because we believe that that's the age when children learn most, and it actually defines their trajectory in the future. I worked earlier as a teacher. Early in my life, I worked as a teacher at an IB school where we used to teach quality education about global issues. Later, when I started working on reform projects at the Ministry of Education, I realized that there was an education gap between those who studied in the public schools and in the private schools. And the main barrier was the English language, because we did not have enough resources in the Arabic language for public school children. And that's when the idea of World of Letters came up in order to bridge this education gap and to provide quality education, quality curriculums, quality resources for students in the public schools. We began to create theme-based resources rather than focusing on subject. We worked on themes of environment, gender, civic education, and in general promoting peace and tolerance among youth nationally. We also work on Sustainable Goal 5, which is gender equity, because we believe that having a job and securing a livelihood is a right for every person living in Jordan. Data shows that in Jordan and the MENA region as a whole, we have achieved gender parity and gender equity with access of girls to education. We also have a reverse gender gap in their access to secondary education, but their transition into the workforce is a big challenge, since only 14% of the women actually participate in the Jordanian labor market. The reasons for the low female participation in the workforce is because of structural barriers and a mindset barrier. For structural barriers, we looked at policy reforms. We realized that the labor law policies were gender biased. In specific, 2 labor laws. One was related to harassment, where the policies did not specify a real definition for harassment, nor did it have any kind of punishment, strong punishments when a woman would get harassed in the workplace. And the second was Article 69, which actually closes certain jobs and timings for women to work in. We worked on both articles through a coalition that we created under a project called Women as Partners in Progress. The coalition worked on 4 different levels. We worked on community level, where we changed mindset towards women participation in the workforce, specifically the dialogue or the discussion that women's roles are at home as caretakers and as taking care of the children and families. We also worked on the policies to make them more gender sensitive. And we work with the private sector to find role models that actually employ women and become as our role models to influence other private sectors and to increase the participation of women in the workforce. World of Letters also works on climate action, Sustainable Development Goal 13. We work on environmental education and ethics locally and regionally. We are part of the Biosphere Ethics Project, which is one of the IUCN's initiative to develop an environmental ethics framework globally. We are also part of the Water Ethics Initiative, which is being driven regionally by the Arab region. We also serve on the Center for Environmental Ethics and Law to work on providing environmental justice and keeping nature alive. World of Letters implemented one of the first environmental education programs at the Ministry of Education as part of the Water Efficiency and Public Action Project. We developed resources for the Ministry of Education, which were later distributed to students throughout the country. We also conducted a knowledge, attitude, and practice survey to understand the perception of youth and children with regards to water education. As a follow-up, World of Letters also participated in the Public Action Project to work on not only water education but energy conservation and solid waste. And this way we touched on indirectly or directly on Sustainable Development Goal 7, which is affordable and clean energy, by educating children throughout Jordan on the importance of energy conservation, water conservation, and the protection of nature. As a finalist, I would like to share with the world our softer approach to economy, where the ecosystem is conserved and where feminist traits of caring, gratitude, mindfulness, collaboration, and empathy is being practiced. I would like to share our ecofeminism approach that we use at the World of Letters with other colleagues, and at the same time, I would like to learn from best practices worldwide to see how we can reach the world where feminist realities flourish, where resources and power are shared equally, and where young people can reach their full potential, and where we nurture Earth with all its diversity, appreciating its intrinsic values. We believe that in the World of Letters that the Sustainable Development Goals are interrelated, so working on eradicating hunger, eliminating poverty, gender equity, quality education, working on climate change, clean water and energy, they all come together and they should be treated integrally so that under one bigger umbrella, which is protecting nature, Mother Nature. We need to have in the future for Sustainable Development Goal 2030, I think the bigger umbrella should be giving nature its integrity and looking at the goals in a feminist ecological lens rather of an economic lens.